I think I'm fine.
Oh yeah.
Hey, we're live. We're live. Many apologies for the lateness for those of you who are here for the live show. I have no idea what the heck is going on, but something was not working well with the audio and on my PC. I think it's a StreamYard thing because it's not a me thing. So weird, but we're here. I'm got my potato camera, and do I look as good as I did over at the other computer?
I think you look better.
Oh,
Just kidding.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, I less high definition is probably a good thing.
And we don't have the theme music, but we still have Matthew McConaughey.
Yes, we do.
All right.
There we go.
We've got it all. The theme music is unfortunately set up on my Stream Deck, or what is it? Rodecaster Pro. So can't use it over here. I'll have to fly it in post.
Do you have your notes on the other computer as well?
What notes?
Oh, okay. It's one of those shows.
I did actually get a couple. I did open a couple of things that we could talk about. Let me see if I can find them again.
Okay.
How's everybody doing out there? We got 504. We got Meister Swift, Elvis Collado or Callado.
So the question is, what computer are you on actually right now?
I'm on my MacBook Pro 2019, 15 and something inch, whatever MacBook Pro. I was on my PC before. I have been live streaming on that PC with that setup without changing anything since like last October. So I have no idea why it's not working, but now I'm here. So we've got Genosis in the house. Kayvon is here. We've got Franklin is in the house. I'm all discombobulated now because my crap's not working. Anyway, we're all good. Let's see.
Hey, here's something. This might get you back in the right mode. I was listening to this today, and I got to tell you, this is a great album.
The Cult. Yes.
Pure Cult.
This has Firewoman on it.
It's got everything. This is a live album. It's got New York City, Little Devil, Sweet Soul Sister, American Horse, Edie, She Sells Sanctuary, Sundown, Firewoman, Love Removal Machine. That's probably my favorite Cult song, Love Removal Machine.
I don't remember that one. I actually saw the Cult live open. Well, I think they didn't. I think they were touring along with Living Color back in the day.
Oh yeah, that was the one song I could never master on Guitar Hero.
Living Color.
Yeah. Cult of Personality. Yeah.
Yeah, that's that one. That would be hard. So
kids, if you're looking for a good album, right here.
I'm trying to find. Okay, here's the Samsung thing that I found. Oh gosh darn it! Please be patient. Talk amongst yourselves. She Saw Sanctuary is a good song too.
That's
Sanctuary by the Seaside.
That's the one you hear on all the radio stations.
While Jason is getting his ish together, I'm just gonna give you all a public service announcement. Mindyourbusiness.com. That's all I'm gonna say.
Well, you can't just say that.
Oh, I can.
That doesn't mean anything.
Oh, it means exactly what it means. Mindyourbusiness.com.
I don't know what business to mind. Yo. Mind your business? My business? I don't understand, man. You got to explain yourself. Now so the article that I just had has gone away. Frickin'. Okay.
Click the link that's in the Twitter.
Yeah, that's right. There is a link in the Twitter, isn't there?
So what's happened in the last 24 hours is a new MacBook. I guess the final MacBook to get rid of the butterfly switches. Like this is the final nail in the coffin.
So they have the new keyboard in this one, correct?
Yes.
They got some other stuff that shouldn't be in this one, which is something we're going to talk about. So, okay, I guess we start the show. How do we start the show?
We
Oh,
just go.
I already pushed the button.
Okay, so we're going. We're going. Okay. So anyway, I guess I'll just talk. So, folks, thank you so much for coming back for another week of the Painfully Honest Tech Podcast. Today is the fifth day of May, Cinco de Mayo. It is May the rise of the fifth.
Revenge of the Fifth.
Revenge of the Fifth.
Rise of the Fifth.
Wow. I don't know, whatever. And tonight here on the Painfully Honest Tech Podcast, we've got many things to talk about. We've got many things to talk about, and we are going to try and talk about them in a more concise manner because there's a very special something that's going to happen here later on. And do you guys know what that is?
We do, but they don't.
Well, you tweeted it, so
You did tweet it.
The return of Can You Trust?
The return of Can You Trust? If you're an old school Painfully Honest Tech viewer, you will know that Can You Trust is a series that I did probably 2 years ago, where I did a bunch of episodes, all focused around tech YouTubers and whether or not you should trust them and that kind of thing. And I ran out of YouTubers.
Isn't it ironic that the day you decided to bring this back, TechSmart also came back with a video today in 4 months? I just think that's great how the moon and the stars have aligned.
Yeah. Well, so Can You Trust? This is Can You Trust 2.0. I'm excited about it. I hope everybody else is. But that will happen. That will go live immediately after this show is over. I'll just say live, and it will go. Yeah, because right now it's private.
Yeah, so for those of you that are watching and listening to us right now live on the YouTube, make sure you guys have your notifications on.
Yep.
Because those help out Jason immensely, and I think we'll probably drop a link as well. But
we will. Yeah.
We will. Yeah, have your notifications on.
So if for those of you who aren't in the know about how YouTube does this thing, when you release a video, it sends out a certain number of notifications. And based on how many people click on those notifications, it tells them that they should send out this many or this few more. So the more people that click on the notifications and get view velocity going, the more YouTube will send the video out into the world, eventually beyond notifications into everything else.
Yeah, it's a snowball effect. So let's say that your normal notification click-through rate is something like 17%. But then let's say 18% in the first hour or first half hour or whatever it is, click. Then YouTube goes, oh, let's serve this to more people. And then as that number gets higher and higher and higher, then it might jump onto trending or suggested, and that's all good.
Yeah. And if you're subscribed to a YouTube channel, I mean mine or anybody else's, and you get the notifications, it's really, really helpful if you just click on that notification as soon as you get it, as long as you're not I guess driving your car or something. you don't want to click on it while you're driving a car. That will really help the YouTuber that you are a fan of.
I'm looking forward to it, man, because it hasn't been like 2 years since you've done a Can You Trust?
I've done a couple here and there. There hasn't really been a focus. But this is the first one that I'm calling an official, Can You Trust 2.0.
Nice.
But before we get to that, we've got a few things to talk about here on the podcast about some technology. First off, congratulations to our friend Greg from Greg's Gadgets for somehow getting on the trending page of YouTube with his video about the new 13-inch MacBook Pro.
Yeah, I saw it was like number 36 on trending or something like
that. Yeah, which is fantastic. I mean, that's amazing. I don't know who he paid, but but yeah. So he's on trending with that video, and the new MacBook Pro 13-inch was released officially today or yesterday. I don't remember when it was officially released, and it's by and large it's doing all the things that the MacBook Pros of more recent stuff have done. It's got the new keyboard, right? And So it's a 13-inch MacBook Pro. There's one problem,
Hmm.
though. The base model, the $1,299 version, which is, I mean, I think a lot of people would go for that. They use the same chip that they did last year. And basically, if you want a new chip, 10th generation Intel Core, blah, 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 if you want any of that stuff, you've got to pay $1,799. So the $1,299 version comes with last year's CPU, which is a fine CPU. Nothing wrong with last year's CPU, except for the fact that it's basic. I mean, it's not very much more pro than the MacBook Air at that point. So I don't know. What do you guys think about this?
Not to mention the fact that it's still coming with the same base 8 gigabytes of RAM.
Yeah.
And I mean, at least at the very least, you get twice the storage. So the base model, the base amount of storage now is 256 gigabytes. So that's good. But like you said, you got the same 8th generation Intel CPU. You got I don't know, the battery life is probably gonna be worth, because now all of them have the touch bar, and the touch bar kind of tips on battery life. So if it has the same CPU and around the same battery in it as last year, battery life is not going to be any better. It's going to be worse. So.
Yeah. And here's my thoughts about that as well. Along with the spec stuff, it kind of makes you scratch your head. For when I think of a pro device, like the first thing that comes to mind is if anybody buys a MacBook Pro of any size or any configuration, they're probably doing at least some sort of video or audio, photo or audio, video, or photo editing, right? Because you need that extra. You need that little that extra oomph. Otherwise, you're going for an Air. And so in my mind, I'm thinking, if I'm video or photo editing, wouldn't I want a bigger screen, at least a 15? Do you know what I mean? Like 15 seems to be like that sweet spot. It's not too big, it's not too small. I mean, we know how slim MacBooks are. I have a 15-inch 2017 here that's been just beautiful. And I just can't imagine. Like I've tried, I had a 13-inch MacBook Air a couple years ago. And even using just like something basic like iMovie on there, I just felt the screen was just a little too small. Do you know what I mean?
Well, the whole thing. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say that one of the problems with 13-inch MacBook Pros is that, at least it may have changed. I looked at the specs for this new one and didn't really pay attention to the others, because this new one just kind of made me upset. You can't get a discrete graphics card. No discrete graphics card. So you're stuck using the graphics that are built in to the Intel chip that's on there. The only way that you can use a discrete graphics card with a 13-inch MacBook Pro is to pay $1,000 for an eGPU.
Yeah.
And then you only get like 70% of the power of that GPU by using it through Thunderbolt. And
that goes back to what I was saying about the size, right? Like I understand the convenience thing, and that's probably huge for people. It's along the same thinking lines of, people don't buy AirPods because they sound awesome. They buy them because the convenience factor.
Right.
And I'm just wondering, is that 13-inch size compelling enough because of size and weight that you wouldn't go for the 15 that obviously has the power behind it and the workhorse behind it?
For me, like, it's never been a problem for me to carry around the 15-inch MacBook Pro. Mm-hmm. I've never been like, oh my God, this is so heavy. It weighs like 3 pounds. So I don't see it being a problem. I understand, like, if you're traveling a lot or something like that, then you would want it. I would assume for a lot of audio editing these days, it would probably be enough, right? But I don't know, if you're traveling and editing audio on a plane, then you're probably actually a professional and could afford the professional machine.
So let's talk about this. I'll ask Viper this first. Who does this introductory 13-inch MacBook Pro target? If it has these reduced specs and things like that, and given the size, like, who do you think the target is for this?
Probably students and people along those lines who want to get that entry-level pro model laptop, but they can't afford the bigger buck for a higher end model or a 16-inch model. again, like Jason said, you're not getting the dedicated graphic card. You're dealing with the onboard graphic from Intel. You're still dealing with the 8th generation Intel CPU, so you got that going on. And then, I mean, the touch bar is okay, but some people love it, some people hate it, so that's kind of a polarizing item to have on there. But I think you were talking earlier about the size and not being able to use the 13-inch, but a lot of people like that smaller form factor because it's easier to travel. So if you travel a lot, it might not be the biggest as far as getting work done, but if you travel a lot and you are carrying a lot of things on you and with you, then you want that smaller form factor for the easier mobility to carry it back and forth. So I think, like I said, it'll be good for a lot of students and things like that who put in their backpack and go back and forth to classes and whatever, or people who just want the smaller MacBook to get work done but still have a smaller form factor. So, I mean, there's a lot of demographics for it, but I mean, the upgrade kind of meh, really.
Yeah, so Gabe says here, let's highlight Gabe. He says, I'm pretty sure a lot of students would buy Windows laptops with the same CPU and upgrade the RAM. I'm going to tell you, as somebody who taught at a university for 15 years, that 90% of everybody in all the courses that I've ever taught carry MacBooks. It's very rare to see somebody with a Windows machine, and there was a time there for a little bit where some people were buying Surface Pros, and but then those fall apart after a year. So there were a lot of problems. Like when I worked for the medical school, it was students had to buy a computer that they could take their tests on, that could handle the security, blah blah blah, and it's not hard to get that. But of course, they were trying to find something that would be good for them as a test-taking machine, but also doing their homework and taking notes and blah blah blah. So,
I would think outside of, like I said, video, audio, or photo editing, MacBook Air hits the mark on all that stuff for a student.
A lot of my students were carrying MacBook Airs.
Okay.
Which to me at first I was like, why would you want that? And then it just makes sense to me because they're not really going to do that much of anything else with it. Mm-hmm. The students that I did see with MacBook Pros, they were rocking like 2012 MacBook Pros.
Okay, so like first gens.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, here's the question though: if you're paying $12.99 for the base level MacBook Pro 13. Mm-hmm. Why don't you just buy an iPad Pro 12.9 and like, I think at $12.99 you max out the RAM or max out the storage, right? Or you get to 512 at least, plus then and you can get any keyboard that you want. And honestly, the iPad Pro is going to be more powerful than the MacBook Pro 13 with that 8th generation Intel chip in it. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, maybe that's part of Apple's thinking. Like, we'll get more people to buy Mac or iPads. I don't know. Because to tell the truth, like, I can't see a reason to. If I were working at Best Buy, mm-hmm. right, I would never. I would strenuously steer people away from this model of the MacBook Pro.
Well, maybe it's there. Excuse me. Just because I know where you're going with this, Jason. Maybe it's there for that exact reason. Do you know what I mean? Like, here's our entry, but maybe the actual entry is the next. Do you know what I mean? The next model up. It's just a phantom there to get people thinking that, okay, I'm buying the next model up, kind of thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kind of like cars.
Yeah, it's quite possible that it is the base model that the salesperson can use for the upsell, right? Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's like, well, I mean, think about going into a car dealership. Yeah, we have a base model. It's got, roll down windows and no air conditioning, but nobody wants that, for an extra blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So that's quite possible. But I think a lot of people will, when spending money on a laptop, I mean, let's not lose track of the fact that $1,300 is a lot of money mm-hmm. for anything. Mm-hmm. $1,300 is a lot of money for a MacBook. And if you're buying a MacBook Pro and you're paying $1,300, you would expect to get at least like even if all the other things are the same, at least the most recent chip, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they're not doing it. Maybe so. DePoet says he loves his 12-inch iPad Pro, but it's easy to get work done on a laptop, even a slightly slower laptop. And I don't disagree. There are times when there are things that I want to do on my iPad, because basically my MacBook Pro lives down here, tied up to this monitor that I'm sitting in front of, and in the house outside of my studio, I have my 12.9-inch MacBook Pro, and that's the machine that I use for all my computing inside the house, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for the most part, it's really good, except like if I want to go to the YouTube community page, I can't do it on there. Can't do it.
Still weird.
Yeah, I don't understand. So they're all, and I just use that as an example of like, okay, everything that I need to do can't be done on the iPad yet.
And we've talked about this before. In order for more people to accept, okay, so let's be really clear. I think the average tech consumer, people that are doing kind of everyday tasks and whatnot, an iPad Pro or iPad with a keyboard and everything is going to suit most people fine. But
right.
For maybe tech enthusiasts, people are doing a little more tech, until there's more support with apps and, like you said, going to different websites and this and that, until there's more support with the iPad, it won't be as recognized, right? Yeah. It's kind of like Star Trek, The Next Generation. Although technically superior, it will never be quite as recognized as the original.
I don't know if that's true.
Paging Michael Fisher.
I don't know if I agree with that. I think that Star Trek, you can make the argument that Star Trek: The Next Generation actually validated the existence of the original Star Trek.
Let me ask you guys this about resale value. Okay, so this is the last, and Viper did a really good video on this yesterday. I like the inclusion of the tech preacher Anyway, this is the last MacBook in the line in terms of the Airs and the Pros and everything to replace, to say goodbye to the butterfly keyboard.
Right.
Do you think so? For example, I have a 2017 here. Viper, you have a 2018, right?
2020.
Okay, so with the butterfly keyboard, do you think within tech circles, if we were trying to sell these, that might hinder us trying to sell because it has the old butterfly keyboards?
No.
You don't think so?
No,
because
I don't think so either.
I've actually personally seen ads on some of our local sellers here. People will actually put on there and ask questions of, does this have the butterfly keyboard?
I'm gonna wager that most normal people don't even know what that is.
Yeah, and I think that Apple has done the right thing in several cases where this has been a problem. They're guaranteeing all those keyboards for 4 years, so it doesn't matter who owns it's not just original owner only. Like, it transfers with if you sell the laptop.
So. While we were chatting, I actually ran my serial number because I couldn't remember if my Apple Care Plus warranty on this MacBook, on the 2017 MacBook here that I have, is up this year or next year. It's actually up April 21st next year, but below it there's a little asterisk saying till 2022 on the keyboard.
Nice.
Right.
So I was like, okay,
2028 is a long time. I mean, so I don't think there's any danger in buying a butterfly key MacBook Pro, other than the annoyance of if it does in fact have a problem. But to me, the touch bar. I mean, can we all just admit that the touch bar was half a good idea that never became fully a good idea?
I mean, I've never disliked it. It's been, let's be really clear. I mean, I don't open my MacBook a lot. I have mine closed. It's on a vertical stance, and now I have a USB-C going to, this monitor here. But for the times I have been typing on it, I have actually found it quite useful for scrubbing, like doing video. But
the touch bar, I mean, it's okay. It's not the best. I mean, would you rather have a dedicated function role? Probably. But I mean, the cool thing about the touch bar is that it's dynamic, which means that it changes depending on which application you're using. So I find that pretty cool. But I mean, to be honest, the thing that I use it for the most is emojis. Other than that, I don't really use it much.
There you gotta find those emojis. Yeah.
Yeah, every once in a while, like I don't use my laptop as a laptop very often either. But sometimes when I do, I will see like, oh, like the suggested spelling corrections and stuff, and I'll do that. But the thing about it is, the place where it's placed is right above where everything is hot in the machine.
Yeah.
Right. So every time you touch the touch bar, it's like my fingers are burning.
Like physically hot, like actual warm. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's part of the problem with, the whole, with the whole kind of idea of it not being properly built for the proper cooling and that kind of thing.
So let's kind of like, let's come back around to, I guess, because Jason, I know you said you wanted to keep tonight's show a little bit shorter because of the upcoming Can You Trust?
Correct. Yes.
How many souls do we have here? We have I see exactly 100. See, there we go. Fire emojis. We have exactly 100 souls watching, guys. So make sure you guys have your notifications on because Jason will be dropping a brand new Can You Trust tonight. But I guess let's come full circle. So I guess the general consensus across us three is that don't get the introductory and maybe get the model up. Right.
Yeah,
in terms of model, in terms of value.
If you can, I mean, I would say, even if it's a little bit more money, and you want to buy a computer that's going to be your computer for the next 3 to 5 years, right? Then my suggestion would always be to buy, like, say there are 3 models, buy the middle one, right? If that's all you can afford, buy the middle one. If you buy the base, you're going to outgrow it very quickly.
There's a question here in the chat. Because I know, Jason, you've been doing some refurbished stuff lately.
Yeah.
Omar says here, should I go for refurbished MacBook Pro 2019? I'll say this. I can't speak to that, but I can tell you, Omar, that I had a 2018 refurbished 13-inch MacBook, and I was very happy with it for 2.5 years. I didn't have it, and it came directly from Apple, so it was part of Apple's refurbished program.
Yeah.
And I was very happy with it.
If you're getting it from Apple and it's an Apple refurbished thing, it's like it'll be like a brand new computer. So
yeah, it even smells like it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I wouldn't worry about that. Refurbished by anybody else, I don't know. But I wanted to get to Asarni's comment here. He says, I keep hearing Macs are for people that edit and film as if you have no choice. I will say this. The last 3 to 4 years of my life have been spent going back and forth between Macs and PCs, trying to use a PC to do the work that I need to do.
That's all you did last year in 2019. I mean, you were going back and forth every week. Yeah.
And I'll tell you this, I am back on the Mac and never again will I stray.
I know sorry, go ahead.
The PC experience, it's always like, something will happen. Something in the program will get wonky, or something in your hardware will get wonky, and you're spending all of this time troubleshooting. Whereas that does happen on a Mac, but it happens much less frequently.
I know that Viper and I we use Macs. So for the longest time I used a PC. I used a free editing program called HitFilm. I think they're still around, and it basically, because I was rendering 4K footage, it basically burnt out my PC at the time. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go for a MacBook because Final Cut is exclusive to Mac. It's their program, right? Yeah. And so both the hardware and the software, work together. And there just seems to be a lot more support in terms of third-party plugins and easiness of using Final Cut. That's not to say that Premiere is a bad program. I can't speak to that because I've never used Premiere. But because of how seamless it is, it just seemed the way to go.
Let's not talk about third-party support for Final Cut Pro because I've spent a little too much money over at Motion VFX. So we won't talk about that.
Well, the thing about Premiere Pro, I actually prefer Premiere Pro. I prefer the workflow. I like working in it better, but it's not as fast on the Mac. And when using it on the PC, like I've had to reinstall that program. I've had to just crazy stuff. And so I use Final Cut because it's fast and it's easy on the Mac.
Mm-hmm.
But
I find
perfect.
it funny. I find it funny with some of our creator friends. I'm not making fun of these people. CJ knows tech, but I just find it funny that some of these people use like Premiere on an Apple device, like on a Mac.
It is better. It is better than it used to be. It's better.
You quoted the wrong one. You quoted the wrong dude. You're not talking about TJ. You're talking about Devin.
Is it? I thought CJ used Premiere.
CJ was using Premiere for a while. I remember him.
Oh, maybe you don't, but I think we normally joke about Devin using Premiere on a Mac.
I know Devin knows. It was just too easy to pick on him.
Yeah. So Daniel says here, are my eyes playing tricks? I've never heard them say anything bad about an Apple product. Well, if you're hearing that with your eyes, then yes.
Wow, you're like the next evolution here.
Yeah, that's. I mean, you're evolving before.
Oh my goodness!
That's right. That's right.
I had to push that for the people,
dude. I spent half of 2018 bashing Apple. What are you talking about?
Yeah. So I at the end of the day, geez.
And the HomePod is trash. Okay, let's just get it out there. The HomePod is trash. I don't care what they put it on sale for. It's still trash. Even if it was $1, it'd be trash.
Okay, so I actually was on a Reddit home theater subreddit, right? And I asked, because right now I have Sonos stuff going on in my home theater, right? And I still have all the stuff that I had for my component setup, where it was like a receiver and the satellite speakers and all that. And so my question was, which do you think would sound better? And I mean, I knew what answer I was going to get, but I was just curious, like what details they would give. One guy was like, well, if you're going to use Sonos, you might as well just use a HomePod. And I was like,
just slap him immediately.
Well, he doesn't know me. He doesn't know me. So I'm on Reddit. I'm being nice. And one thing that I did some more research, you can actually use the HomePod with Apple TV.
Yep.
As your device, as your
speaker
sound device. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And which is pretty cool. The only problem is anytime you want to use your HomePod as a speaker for, anything else, it disconnects from your Apple TV and you have to reconnect it.
Oh man.
And you can't use it for anything outside of the Apple TV unless you use AirPlay 2. So if you have a TV that accepts AirPlay 2, then you can use it. But see, this is the problem. Apple made the HomePod 2 like it was gonna just make everybody else forget about all the other stuff that was out there and flock to Apple because they had the best product. But the problem was they didn't. They didn't have the best product.
They handicapped it, and it was too late to the party anyway.
I bought a HomePod because I needed some doorstop for upstairs. It's beautiful. It's the most beautiful. It's the most beautiful doorstop ever.
Oh God. I will tell you this though. I will tell you this about the HomePod. If you find yourself stuck in pandemic land without a roll of toilet paper, the HomePod is uniquely shaped and textured.
You know what? That might be an accurate use of the HomePod. That might be the best use of the HomePod I've ever heard in my life.
Accurately shaped and textured to double as your butt wiping device.
There you go.
I want to. Okay, so we're coming up on like 15 minutes or so left here in the podcast. We might as well talk about this because we all have them in front of us.
How are we coming up on 15 minutes left, and then we only been here for 33 minutes? What are you talking about?
Well, yeah, we got about a half hour before.
Oh, okay. It's right. I'm looking at this clock. I wasn't looking at this clock. Never mind.
Yeah.
I'm drunk with power.
Drunk with power. Just because I don't have my Roadcaster. So you want to talk about the TCL 10L that we all received over last Friday.
We all got them.
This thing right here.
Yeah.
Mine's in the other room, but yes.
You didn't come prepared, Jason. You knew we were about to talk about this tonight. You didn't come prepared.
I can still talk about it. I mean, I don't have to actually show it in like this. But
didn't your teacher tell you to show your work?
Yeah, but I scored. Now this is a true story. So I had to take the GRE to go to grad school, right? Mm-hmm. And there's a math portion on the GRE. The last time I had taken a real math course was 10th grade. And so I hadn't taken a math course in 15 years when I took the GRE. And I didn't know calculus. I didn't know any kind of advanced algebra, any of that, trigonometry, didn't know any of that stuff. I scored in the 1 percentile on the GRE in math.
Wow.
As in like 99% of everybody else was better than me. Statistically, if I had just answered C, I would have scored better. I tried to do the things. I'm so terrible at math. It's just ridiculous, but I tried very hard to do the things, and it messed me up really bad because I'd done a bunch of practice tests, but it was always verbal first and then math. And so when I got there, it was like, oh, they gave me the math first. I'm like, oh no. And I used all of my brain power on the math, and I scored 100 points lower on the verbal, but then there's also a written portion. And I was just like, well, I've totally blown this, so who cares? The prompt was write an essay in which you defend this statement or something like that. And I didn't agree with that statement. So I wrote an essay about why I wouldn't defend the statement and got a perfect score.
There you go. Critical thinking.
So yeah. So I, clearly I'm not really a math person, but I do have talents. It's
true.
So the 10L, I've been fooling around with it for a few days.
Same
and I mean, I've got so many phones here right now. I've overextended myself on the phones between like the re-review phones and the SE and now the 10L and the 10 Pro. Like it's all going to be crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say, and there's actually something else I want to talk about that's connected to this.
Oh,
we're going to talk some trash on somebody.
Uh-oh.
I wonder if you can guess who it is. So the 10L, this is what I said in my sort of like my first opinion impression video, is that basically I didn't look at TCL's website. I didn't look up any of the specs. I didn't look for a pricing sheet or any of that kind of stuff. I got the phone. I got it out of the box. I set it up. I was fooling around with it. I'm like, clearly it's not like, it's not the Note 9, not the Note 10, but it feels really good. It's glass body. It feels really good. Snappy screen, not super vibrant like a Samsung, but good enough. Fine. You turn it up a little bit more and it looks good. Mm-hmm. When I saw that it was $250 for that phone, I was just like, bar?
Yeah.
Because we've been talking about this all year, right? We've been talking about 2020 being the year of the mid-range budget priced phones, right? And how that's going to be the story and not the $1,000 plus phones. Well, I know that my experience with $250 Android phones is limited, but if that's the quality of a $250 Android phone in 2020, then Samsung, Apple, everybody should be like pooping their pants.
And let me stop you right there. That's not the quality of a $250 Android phone. That's the quality of a TCL Android phone, because TCL is legit. And
wait till you guys you guys had some or Jason, you had some hands-on time with the Pro.
I did
when we were there. So the Pro is it's got the fingerprint sensor underneath on the front. It's on the back. There's a couple. The battery is 5,000 milliamps bigger, but for the things that people really look for in a device, TCL has really kind of doubled and tripled down on. Great display, large battery, minimal skin on here. The camera, from my first impressions, is good. I completely switched to this on Friday when I got to it. I spent most of Friday evening putting all my apps on here and everything. The standby time has been incredible. So last night when I went to bed, I left it on the kitchen table, turned on. Obviously, the screen's off.
Right.
At 68%.
Yeah. When
I got up this morning, I think it was like 6 or 7 hours later, it was at 65%. So it dropped 3% overnight. And sure enough, all the notifications were going off all night. That's impressive. That's impressive.
Well, that's the thing. Usually with an Android phone, you'll lose like 9 or 10%.
Yeah.
Because that's even on the best phones. Mm-hmm. If you don't charge overnight, you'll lose 9 or 10%. But Daniel says, I'm sure TCL will slowly raise the price. So they come out and take a loss to get their name out there. The thing is, Daniel, I don't think that's the case. And I'll tell you why. TCL is Samsung's number 2 competitor everywhere. They are the number 2 seller of televisions everywhere.
They're actually the number 1, I think, in certain categories on Amazon,
right?
Specifically for online sales.
And they are a Korean company, right? Or are they Chinese?
So they're Chinese. Yeah,
they're Chinese, but they compete with Samsung in almost every area. They make washer dryers, they make refrigerators, they do all these things. TCL, if you look at how they did TVs, they came out with inexpensive TVs, and then slowly over time, they started introducing better models, but they never got rid of the super cheap ones. And that was OnePlus's huge mistake.
And a lot of people, I hear a lot of, I always see a lot of comments of people saying, who are they? Nobody knows who they are. Let me take you back about 20 years. There's a brand out there that I pretty much guarantee everybody here listening and watching has probably owned at one time. Do you guys remember RCA?
Yeah.
Guess who used to manufacture RCA televisions?
TCL.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, RCA was big time in televisions, like back in the very early days of television. But yes, I see what you're saying. And the thing is, like, TCL also I thought you were going to go BlackBerry.
Well, I mean, that in terms of mobile devices, they're nothing. They're not new to doing mobile devices. This is their first name brand devices in North America, but they've sold devices under BlackBerry, under the Alcatel name, and even under the TCL name in certain parts of Europe.
Right.
So they're not new to this game.
Yeah. So I mean, and one thing that I'm learning about or thinking about now that I never really thought before is that, and I mentioned this in the video that I'm going to release right after this is done. The best thing about the OnePlus phone was that it was 90% of a flagship phone for 50% of the price, right? Marquez said that it was spot on the money.
Yep.
Now a OnePlus phone is 98% of a flagship phone for the same money. Yeah. But they didn't keep the models down on the bottom end. TCL with their televisions has shown that they'll start out with lesser expensive things, but then move up. I mean, the TCL mini LED TV was $2,000. And that's a lot of money for any television.
I was notified that right now, for one day only, the TCL 65-inch 8 series is on sale for $1,000 today.
That's a steal. That's a steal.
Yeah, because I looked at that TV in December. It was $199.99.
Yeah.
So that's half price for that TV. And I mean, that TV, it's a first generation mini LED TV. They got to the market first, or at least here in the US, they got to the market first with mini LED. And I've heard that it's had its issues, that nothing that can't be fixed with software, nothing that can't be worked around. But for me, if I were going to spend $1,000+ on a TV, I'd probably wait for model number 2.
I'll tell you this though, I bought my Series 4 from them, which is kind of their introductory. I don't even think you guys even have access to Series 4 anymore in the United States, but the Series 4, Series 5 at the prices of like $500. Like I bought their Series 4 65-inch 4K HDR, all that stuff, right? For $529 Canadian, which is probably about $480 American. And I mean, it's got everything. It's got Roku in there. It's got Apple. Here's what really turned me on with it. Not only do I have like Disney Plus on there and Netflix and all that kind of stuff, but I also have Apple TV Plus, which is a rarity. Sometimes, most of the time, you have to buy that set-top box.
Right.
I know that some Samsungs have it and everything like that. But when I was going between models, when I was looking at them at Costco, like, it was just, what a steal.
I have Apple TV, the app, available to me on my LG TV now, but that was at some point since the first of the year. So, Apple's doing a lot more of that, which brings us to maybe a little discussion about the iPhone SE. Because I'm rounding out my time with the iPhone SE. I've gone through the paces. I've spent the time with the iPhone SE, and yeah, I mean, it's the iPhone SE, the TCL 10 series, whatever Samsung A series phones there are out there, like the game is over. You know, there will always be $1,000 phones, and there will always be people to buy them, but I don't think that it's going to be as exciting as I mean, and I'm arguing for like my own job to be less interesting, right? Or less lucrative, because you know, if people don't want to watch videos about smartphones, then because they're just cheap commodities, then that, you know, that means a pivot in content for me, right? So for all of us, but yeah, the iPhone SE just this is going to be the best selling phone of 2020 by far.
Yeah, it reminds me of the 10R.
Apple's best selling phone. It's going to be the best selling phone.
Zach, did you ever get yours yet?
What's that?
Did you ever get yours yet?
It's still in transit. I don't know where.
Oh my Lord! What?
Yeah,
man, I'd be on the phone to Apple. I'd be, hey, like, what's going on?
I had to, and they said they reshipped it out. I should have had it by now. It should have arrived yesterday, but
yeah. Well, I mean, this phone is a mic drop, and it does have issues. It does have issues. The battery life is not what you would want it to be.
Yeah.
And yeah, but I have found over the couple of weeks that I've used it that on light days when I'm not like heavy on the phone, then I'll have plenty of battery left at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
But if I were to, like, there were a couple of days where I was actually like AirPlay 2 streaming from HBO onto my TV because for some reason the HBO app wouldn't work. And man, it just was like nearly dead after a few hours of that. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I think as smartphone enthusiasts, we get spoiled and we like, you know, look in the cracks of our collective navels for all of these little differences here and there. But for the average person, whew, they're going to look at this phone. They're going to be like, a $400 iPhone.
Give it to me. But Jason, you forgot something. No, you forgot something.
I did. What did I forget?
Something. You forgot that there's one more entrant coming later this month.
There is.
Oh yeah, from those people over there at the headquarters in Mountain View, baby. They're bringing it.
Are they? So what is it? Because I've been sort of, I had my head down, so I haven't been paying attention.
We haven't heard much about it, but the rumors are May 22nd, Pixel 4a.
Pixel 4a, yeah.
Pixel 4a, yes, yep. I have heard that. I've heard Pixel 4a in May. Yep. I hadn't heard it. I hadn't heard any kind of specific date. Pixel 4a is going to be a lot less interesting this year than it was last year,
probably,
as the Pixel 3a, because. And look how much it took a lot of, you know, Genesis was like, oh yeah, that phone.
I was about to say, I think the whole chat just went, oh yeah, remember those guys?
Yeah, it's like, oh, well, there's a phone coming out. What?
Yeah, Google.
Oh yeah,
that's right.
Google makes
right. Google coming, baby. Google coming back, y'all. Don't sleep on Google.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I think that the Pixel 4a and 4a XL will be very, very good phones. And in fact, did we talk about my video where I did all the prices and what they should be versus what they are?
Yeah, I saw your experiment.
Yes.
I don't want to call it experiment, but yeah, it was good.
Well, so I did this video, and if you haven't seen it, you can go back and check it out on my channel. It's basically, I came up with an algorithm based on price where you can sort of decide how much you think a phone should be worth based on 10 categories. And then you can and then you can add that up to get your score, and then you can compare it to the price that the phone actually is. And there were a couple of things that surprised me. The LG V60 came out at $900 even, and the LG V60 costs $900. The Pixel 4 and the 4 XL, the Pixel 4 was like $75 overpriced. The Pixel 4 XL was right on. Like, and that was for the original price. I didn't do like, and now it costs whatever. So the Pixel 4 and Pixel 4a, I have given the Pixel a hard time for a long time about being more expensive than it should be. But the truth of the matter is, I don't think it is. And the fact that you can, within a couple of months get it for even cheaper makes the Pixel a really compelling buy. It's just that if you're going to buy an Android phone, why buy an Android phone that starts at 64 gigabytes? Why buy an Android phone that doesn't have expandable storage? Those are the two questions that I have.
The TCL has expandable storage.
It does $250.
The other news is that there will be no Pixel 4a XL, only a Pixel 4a to share.
Really?
You're doing one size, which I think is a smart move.
I mean, I just like the bigger one.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Yep.
And I don't know what the battery life was like on the Pixel 3a, but I was really happy with battery life on the Pixel 3a XL.
Yes, it was awesome.
So, but is it going to have the Snapdragon 675, 775?
Probably.
Yeah. I swear to God, in my video about the TCL, I said 665, Snapdragon 665.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Everybody in the comments heard me say 865. And I had so many comments like, that's not the 865, you're stupid.
But let me ask you guys this. In your everyday usage of using this, have you noticed a slowdown or stuttering? I only did at first when I was initially downloading and installing apps, but then going a full 24 hours of just, picking it up and,
When I first got the phone, I noticed that the software was kind of stuttery and choppy, but that was because there was a day one patch out there that they sent out the next day. So once I downloaded the update, it operated a lot better.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. As soon as I got that update too, I noticed that it went away. Certain things were fixed and everything like that. Like the Netflix app didn't work on there at first, but it works now. And,
yeah. And these are all problems that, the consumer won't have to deal with when the phone comes out in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Correct.
So, and then the nice thing about that is when you have a processor like that doesn't run as hard, it brings down thermals and it helps your battery life in the end as well too, right? Like I've never, despite doing multiple tasks and things like that, and I even played some games on here, this never got warm, like not even warm, just regular, right?
And the TCL phones have headphone jacks.
Yeah, they do.
I tried doing some research into the DAC thing. Did you find anything, Jason?
I haven't done the research. Like I've been fooling around with the phone, just kind of using it casually, but trying to get done with the phones that I have in front of it.
I don't think there's anything special in there in terms of the DACs because I got the reviewer guides today, like the actual, and there's all sorts of specs in there, but I didn't see anything about the DACs. So.
Exactly.
Yeah, I would imagine like the one thing that was disappointing to me about the Pixel 3a XL and 3a, I was super excited that they had headphone jacks, but it was also at the same time I had the Galaxy S10 Plus, and doing a comparison between the two headphone jacks, it was clear how much better quality the S10 Plus headphone jack was compared. Like seriously. The Pixel 3a headphone jack sounded like crap.
Dog doodle.
Sounded like ass. It just did. It did, and it bummed me out. It put me in that place where it's like, well, should I just be like, well, at least it's there? I don't know. Yeah. But it's a $300 something phone. So
can't complain too much, right?
Yeah.
Hey, hey Zach. It's time for you to make preparations.
For what?
The one that you tried to make half an hour ago that we didn't let you.
What? I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's happening now. Like all of a sudden we want to do things on schedule and we can't do them. It's like, I don't know.
Oh, okay. Yeah. The timer now says 54 minutes.
Yes.
Yes, science.
That's right.
That's right. Has nothing to do with this.
Now, retethered tech. This is something that's interesting. Something that's been interesting to me. I've seen this reaction to a lot of the YouTubers who got the TCL phones, and people are like, "What's the TCL paying everybody with phone?" It's how is this any different than what every major YouTuber does with every release of every phone?
I don't know about y'all, but I ain't getting paid jack, okay? I just got sent a phone. Like Jason said, the same way that Google sent me a Pixel 4 and 3A last year, TCL sent me they sent me the 10L, they sent me the 10 Pro later this week. Like Jason said, this is no different from what happened like on a normal basis. So y'all need to calm down.
Let me be really clear about how things happen with I think the majority of us that were at TCL's type stuff at CES. So I got a random DM from one of our contacts at TCL saying, "Hey, I heard you're in town a few days early for CES. Can you come by? Do you want to come by our press conference thing on the Monday?" I've never been to any sort of press conference. So I'm like, well, the first thing I asked him is there food? He said, "Yes, there's food." And I said, "Okay, I'll be there." Right? like I don't care as long as it's something I can eat. So I showed up, and then they handed me this box, and inside this box was a bunch of press kit information, and including their wireless earbuds. Okay, cool. Plus, like I said, there was food. Okay. So, and then the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of CES happens. And then I asked them, "Can I come by your booth?" They're like, "Yeah, come by our booth." And when I got to the booth, I said, "Hey, is there food here?" They said, "Yes, we have food." So they took me back and they fed me. So again, you feed Zach, things happen, right? And then I took the motivation behind all that just because things interest me with their televisions and like that to do a bunch of filming. And I did a bunch of videos because, again, interesting company, right? And then out of nowhere, when I got back from CES, they said, "Hey, do you want to come to MWC?" Now, this is before everything got shut down. And I said, "Listen, will there be food?" And they said, "Yes, there's food in Barcelona." I said, "Okay." So, all right. And then, of course, everything went to crap. But I mean, nobody's getting paid here. We've been offered, and they've been very gracious, and they invited me to their awesome party that they had at CES. And like I said, there was food involved.
No, that's the thing. They have been very gracious. I think that from a marketing standpoint, they see that like they're, the same thing that Samsung has done with some of their phones, but Samsung has been much more targeted in saying like, "Oh, we're going to take these 5 or 10 smaller quote unquote YouTubers and bring them to our event and all that kind of stuff." TCL recognizes that, as somebody said in the chat, like if you send this phone to any of the big guys, it's not going to be high on their list of stuff to get to, and even when they do, they likely will just be like, "Oh, it's So I think that they've been really smart about how they have sort of played this release. They're going to get a ton. They're getting a ton of just like straight up retail social media marketing. They did just boots on the ground, people who are, got the phones and they're going to talk about them. Mm-hmm. People who have 3,000 subs, people who have 179,000 subs, whatever. They got people talking about their phones, excuse me, which I think is a big deal. Now, there's another way to do this, and I want to bring this up before we move. There's another company that decided to put all their eggs in one basket and sponsor a giveaway of their $250 phone, exclusive with our friend Lou.
Oh, jeez.
Our friend Lou over there at Unbox Therapy. Let me bring up the video so I know that
I must have missed this video.
Yeah, well, okay, let's go. It is you'd never guess the price of this new futuristic phone.
Yeah, I didn't watch that one.
Yeah, so he's giving it away on Twitter. It's the Tecno TECNO Camon CAMON 15 Premier or Pro. It depends on what market you're in. They're the same phone, and he's got like 10 of them to give away over on Twitter. So, but then again, I mean, this video has almost 2 million views, and I don't know if it's going to sell any phones, but it's just really interesting because Lou most definitely, I mean, he said sponsored, most definitely got paid a crap ton of money to do this, which I think is okay to a certain extent, but I also think to a certain extent it's shitting where you eat. You know, because smartphones are a big pillar of Lou's business, right? Unbox Therapy covers smartphones a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And so whenever you tell people I took money to basically review this smartphone, and Unbox Therapy can live in that gray area of like, well, I'm unboxing it. I'm not reviewing it because I just got it out of the box and I'm just telling you what I think of it, right? That's the gray area that a lot of us use when we do sponsored stuff. But still, it's kind of like at a certain point, won't people be like, I don't know, he took money to publicize that phone. Wouldn't he take money to publicize other phones? It's a question. It's a question. I don't know what you guys think, but to me, it's a little close to the edge.
You know how I feel. As long as the transparency is there, this video is brought to you, but then giver, right?
Right. Yeah.
As long as there's a clear distinction, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Just like last week, I said there's nothing wrong with his 2 different videos weighing both sides. Right.
Yeah, and I mean, I've done AirPods Pro knockoffs that have been sponsored videos. So there's no way to say like this is the line right here. You can't do this. I try and stay away from the stuff that is the majority of my content. And so the smart thing, the thing about a $250 phone on Unbox Therapy's channel is that it doesn't seem like it has as much validity because that it's been paid for. Right. But maybe that's not the point. I don't know. It kind of struck me when I saw the video. I saw, the giveaways on Twitter. I think it's still going on. If you want to be part of the giveaway, go to Lou's Twitter and check that out. The phones seem like they're pretty decent phones from what I saw in the video, but at the same time, it's just kind of like,
all right, let's talk about this real quick. So basically what's happening here is that we have 2 different ideologies at work. On one side, you got Tamron, Monkey, Doodoo, Monkey Crap, whatever the hell the company name is. I don't know what their name is. And on the other side, you got TCL, 2 different ideologies. So Jason just told you that this company paid a boatload of money to Unbox Therapy to put that phone on their channel. So basically, that company wanted the most eyes on that product that they could possibly have in order to promote that phone. Normally, this is not really the way to do it because you kind of want to put it in more than one reviewer's hands to get different experiences and to get the word out to as many different audiences as possible. But this company that Lou deal with obviously didn't care. They just wanted the most eyes on the phone possibly. As opposed to our boys at TCL here, who have gotten this phone as damn near as many reviewers' hands as possible, thereby capturing all the different audiences that encompass all those reviewers that they are covering now. And they didn't pay anybody. They're like, listen, we're handing you this phone. We want you to talk about it, give your thoughts. Obviously, you're embargoed for another 2 weeks to give a full review, but you can get first impressions, initial thoughts, things like that.
Right.
So TCL basically just wants the word out around the hood about these new TCL phones, where that Tamron company, they just want as many eyes as possible, and hopefully they're hoping to make you sell more or less.
And I'm betting when that embargo date comes up, Viper, that we'll see a lot more videos because Jason and I both, you saw in our videos there, like John Rettinger was there, Andrew Edwards was there, Kevin the Tech Ninja was there. Like, so there's a lot of bigger and mid-range, I'll say mid-range names, but there are a lot of bigger guys have been doing this longer that I know they already have it. Like, Andrew Edwards probably has it sitting there in his garage. Right. So, right. So, but it's just that some of us decided to do videos right away. It's just,
Andrew are probably even opening yet, knowing him.
Well, the thing is, like, for me, the story is not look at this $250 phone. Mm-hmm. Like it's more, the story is look what this phone can possibly mean in the context of all of smartphones right now. And I'm not saying that this TCL phone is going to like change the game, but this TCL phone is a harbinger of what's going on in the smartphone market, that companies like, I said it in my video, Samsung just came out flat-footed this year. They did not read the room. They nobody was buying the S20s before everything got shut down.
And if this is TCL's lower end at 250, this is the TCL 10L.
Yeah.
The other one that you and I, the three of us, are be getting later on this week is the TCL 10 Pro. Okay, and it's priced at $449.99, so $450. Right. Okay, if this, like I said, for $250, I'm going like basically I titled my video, kind of like Darth Vader. Remember that scene in the Empire Strikes Back? Impressive, most impressive. That's this, right? Yeah. Imagine what their Pro is, right? I mean,
see, and I think both different marketing plans are valid, right? Mm-hmm. The guy with the most eyeballs gets money, and he puts the eyeballs on the thing, right? Or you turn around and you go for more of a grassroots type thing where you go with smaller people. TCL, I don't know what their marketing budget is, but basically, they're sending out phones to YouTubers and paying for postage. so they're, I don't know what kind of print ads they're going to do or net ads they're going to do or anything like that. But they're both valid, proven strategies. I think TCL wants to be in it for the long haul.
I was about to say, TCL is playing the long game. Whoever's dealing with Lou just threw a Hail Mary.
Listen, we talked about this last year too because of politics and everything, about how the American market specifically is missing out on a big chunk of competition with Huawei not being allowed in.
Right. This
is your Huawei. Okay, I'm not saying they're the same company, but I'm saying market. The first person I ever heard say this was Tech 702, Mike. He said it's a market disruptor.
Yeah.
Right. Which is
that was
amazing. This is nothing
on my thumbnail the other day.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. He messaged me. He's like, Jason took my thing. I'm like, I'm sure he's not the first. You're not the first person to say market disruptor.
I did not steal anything from anybody, but that's exactly the thing that I was thinking. Great minds think alike.
But I mean, that like competition is nothing but good for consumers. This is a good thing. This is a very, very good thing, especially for people in the especially for American buyers, because you guys are missing a big chunk on the carrier level. That is Huawei. Okay.
Right.
I think that if TCL plays their cards right, they can become almost as big or maybe even bigger than Huawei, given that Huawei is handicapped at the moment.
Yeah, Huawei without Google services, I mean, maybe that flies in China and other places, but it wouldn't fly in, I think, most of the Western world, like Europe and North America. I don't think without Google services, Huawei is going to sell too many phones. I mean, that's academic because Huawei is in the European market, but not here. One thing that was really interesting to me about the video that I put out about this phone is a lot of people. I mean, enough that I noticed a lot of folks were commenting like, I'm not going to use this Chinese trash. And I was just kind of like, wait a minute. Like, everything that you buy is made in China.
Yeah. There's a misconception there, I think.
Yeah. So I don't know if it's because it's the Chinese company, but there was a lot of like, I was trying to figure out where it was coming from. I couldn't figure out if it was like Corona hate. I couldn't figure out like what was bringing it on, but there were a lot of comments.
Oh, and in case people are wondering, TCL it used to have a previous name, and Gino says you can look it up for me because I think you know what it is, but it currently stands for the Creative Life.
Somebody in the chat said TCL has the advantage of not having an obviously Chinese name.
No, it was something where their communications limited before, and then they renamed it to the Creative Life.
Right.
So in case you're wondering what TCL stands for,
whatever it stands for, y'all better get used to it because they're not going anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, there you go. SMS says right there, OnePlus is a Chinese company. How come we don't hear the same outreach about them?
Yeah, well, OnePlus is cool. OnePlus is cool.
Well, they're the flagship killer.
I know, exactly.
All right. Well, on that note, folks, I think it's time to make our preparation for Can You Trust, right?
It's
whoa! Oh my!
We're getting there. We're getting there. Now,
waking everybody up.
I'm trying to get to this thing that I want to show.
I thought you had your finger on the trigger, bro.
I do, but I wanted to give everybody who's in here a little preview. And so let's see if it shows up when I share it. Not showing up. Application window.
So make sure you guys got your notifications turned on.
Share.
Brand new Can You Trust?
Oh, you know what? You know what it's doing? Because I installed Catalina today, I had to redo all my permissions for like sharing screens and stuff like that.
Oh.
So anyway, I wonder if I could just the new video is going live. Right? 3, 2, 1 now. It is Can You Trust the iPhone SE?
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of a different tack.
There it is. I just got the notification.
Yeah. So if you got the notification, please click through. Please watch the video. Share it if that's something that you feel cool about doing. Any of that kind of thing, because I really want the Can You Trust series to like get some traction back. And so El Jefe, Can You Trust El Jefe is coming.
I don't think you can.
I mean, it's, but Jefe, you got to get more controversial first, right? I mean, you got to do something sketchy, and you haven't done anything sketchy yet. So anyway, if you've gotten the notification, please watch the video. Please comment and let me know what you think about it. It was kind of fun to make and kind of fun to be back on the Can You Trust bandwagon. And with that is the end of the Painfully Honest Tech podcast for the 5th day of the 5th month of 2020 in the year of our quarantine. And thank you ever so much. Thank you ever so much for watching or listening or whatever it is that you're doing. If you are out there in the world listening to the podcast, please rate the podcast. Please leave a review out there. We don't have any nobody has left a review.
I left a review.
At least not that I could see. Anyway,
I mean, I might be biased, but it's in there if you go under Apple Podcasts and through the Apple.
But yeah, please give us some ratings, 5 stars only. Because otherwise we'll get fired. You guys ever get that at car dealerships? Car dealerships is like, I sold you a car, now you have to give me a 5-star review or my manager will fire me.
They beg you for those.
I know they do. Yeah. But anyway, you guys have been so awesome. Thank you so much for being here. Once again, Viper, Zach, as always, a pleasure. And until the next time, my name is Jason, sometimes known as the JTL. I already said until the next time. We are out.